Marcus
I
had
think you
learned to
dropped
read
this.
silences the
Where
way
did
other
you get
men read
that?
spreadsheets.
It doesn't matter.
Quickly,
It's yours.
accurately, and with the full understanding that the wrong interpretation could cost him everything. The silence in the Hartwell Industries conference room that Thursday afternoon was the kind that preceded bad news. His boss, Diana Reeves, stood at the window with her arms crossed, watching the Atlanta rain streak down the glass like the city itself was crying. She was 41, sharp as a surgical blade, and she hadn't smiled once since Marcus walked in. "The Meridian Conference is non-negotiable," she said without turning around. "Every regional manager has to be there. Nashville. 3 days." Marcus already knew what was coming next. He'd felt it the moment her assistant called him in separately from the rest of the team. "I already booked the rooms last month," Diana continued, finally turning to face him. "But the hotel had a system failure. They lost 4 reservations. Long story short, the conference block is sold out. Every hotel within 15 miles is sold out because of some country music festival, and there is exactly 1 room left at the Meridian itself." She paused, studying his face the way she always did in negotiations. "1 room, 2 beds. We're both adults, right?" She said it like it was simple. Like the answer was already decided and she was just waiting for him to nod along. Marcus was quiet for 3 full seconds. "In boardroom terms, that's an eternity. Ms. Reeves," he said carefully, "I appreciate you telling me directly. But I can't share a room." She blinked. "Marcus, I just explained, there's literally nothing else available. I understand that." He kept his voice steady, respectful, the way his mother had taught him to speak to people even when the conversation was uncomfortable. "But I have a 7-year-old daughter. I'm her only parent. I drive home every single night, no matter where I am in the city, because she needs consistency. Routine. She already knows I'm going to Nashville and she's scared." He paused. "I was going to ask about commuting each day. It's only 4 hours round trip. I'd leave by 5 in the morning and be back before her bedtime." Diana stared at him. "That's insane. That's 4 hours of driving every day for 3 days." "She's worth 12 hours of driving," Marcus said simply. Something shifted in Diana's expression. It wasn't softness exactly. Diana Reeves didn't do softness in the workplace, everyone knew that, but it was something adjacent to it. A recognition, maybe. The kind you can't fake. "You'd rather drive 4 hours a day than share a room with me?" she asked, and there was something in her voice now that wasn't offense or confusion. It sounded almost like a question she was asking herself. "It's not about sharing a room with you specifically," Marcus said. "It's about Lily. She's been through enough." He hadn't meant to say that last part. It slipped out the way grief sometimes does, through the cracks you think you've sealed. Diana sat down across from him for the first time since he'd entered the room. "How long have you been doing this alone?" 2 years, he said. "Her mom passed. Ovarian cancer." The rain kept falling outside. Somewhere down the hall, a printer hummed to life. "I didn't know," Diana said quietly. "You're my boss, not my therapist." He said it without bitterness, almost gently. "I didn't need you to know." She was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something Marcus had never seen her do in 3 years of working for her. She picked up her phone and started making calls. Right there, in front of him. She tried the Meridian's main line, the regional director she knew personally, a hotel consultant the company kept on retainer for exactly these kinds of corporate travel nightmares. Each call ended the same way, apologetic voices, the same story, nothing available. After the 4th call, she set the phone down and looked at him with an expression he couldn't quite name. "Take the room," she said. "I'll figure something out for myself." Marcus frowned. "Where will you stay?" "That's not your concern, Ms. Reeves." "Marcus." Her voice was firm but not unkind. "Take the room. Drive home to your daughter every night if that's what you need. But take the room so at least you have a place to go between sessions. A place to eat, rest, prepare. You're presenting on the 2nd day and I need you sharp." He searched her face for the angle, the calculation, the strategic move underneath the gesture. He couldn't find one. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. She picked up her pen and looked back at her papers, the universal signal that a conversation was ending. "Because you're a good employee and a good father and this company has already taken enough from you this quarter." A pause. "And because my brother raised his kids alone after his wife left, and I watched what it cost him when people didn't make space for that reality. She didn't look up. Now go back to work. Marcus stood. He was almost at the door when she spoke again. For what it's worth, she said, still not looking up, the fact that your first instinct was protecting your daughter's routine instead of worrying about appearances or career politics, that tells me more about your character than 3 years of performance reviews. He didn't know what to say to that. So he just nodded and walked out. The conference was everything corporate conferences are, fluorescent lights and keynote speakers and handshakes that all feel the same after the 100th one. Marcus drove 4 hours every day, just as he'd planned. He left before the Atlanta sunrise and pulled into his driveway each night just as Lily was finishing her homework. She'd run to the door in her sock feet, arms already open, and every single time, it hit him in the chest like something sacred. On the last night, he found a card on the driver's seat of his car in the hotel parking garage. He didn't know how it got there. It was a plain white envelope with his name on it in handwriting he didn't recognize until he opened it. For Lily's college fund. From someone who respects the job you're doing at home more than anything you do in that office. Dr. Asterisk. Inside was a personal check. Not from the company. From Diana Reeves herself. It wasn't a fortune. But it was real, and it was hers, and it meant something that money alone never quite captures. Marcus sat in that parking garage for a long time, the engine off, the card in his hands. He thought about his wife, about the year they lost her, about the morning Lily asked him if daddies could be enough. He'd told her yes with far more confidence than he felt at the time. He was still proving it to himself, one day at a time. He put the check carefully in his jacket pocket, started the car, and drove home. When he walked through the front door, Lily was already asleep, one arm around a stuffed elephant that had survived every storm of the last 2 years. He sat on the edge of her bed in the dark and listened to her breathe. Steady. Safe. There are moments in life that don't ask you to be extraordinary. They just ask you to show up. To make the harder, quieter, less glamorous choice, the one nobody applauds, the one that costs you sleep and miles and ego, because someone small is counting on you to be consistent in an inconsistent world. Marcus had made that choice every day for 2 years. And somehow, without him ever asking for it, the world had noticed.